Thanks for taking part in my story explanation activity. Um, I wanted to go over why we did that and what we're going to do with it. So, in this module, we're going over the biological functioning of the brain, and as part of it, we're going into states of consciousness. So, I'm not sure if you reached that particular module, but you're going to get to a module called Dream Theories. And in this module, you're going to learn that different researchers have had different perspectives on dreams. So, for example, Sigmund Freud, believed that dreams are our unconscious desires. So, all day long, we're kind of repressing this part of our personality called the id, which we'll get to. And when you go to sleep at night, this is when the id can come out and be itself. And so your id is completely unconscious. And so dreams are a mechanism for wish fulfillment. And so the things that you can't get during the day and you can't get that you can't do during the day due to social confinement, you can act out in your dreams and it keeps you balanced. Um, on the other hand, and I go into this more on the lectures because it's pretty interesting, is Jung was Freud's probably most famous student, and we don't teach a lot about him in Psych 1 because he's a higher level. You would learn about him in a personality class at the 400 level. But Jung was really fascinating, and those of you who want to read more in psychology, I would recommend Jung. He is kind of out there, and so you have to be ready to go there. For example, he believes in synchronicity, that nothing happens by chance, everything happens for a reason. And so he kind of believes that there's this thing called the collective unconscious, and it's this kind of energy pattern. And when you go to sleep at night, your brain goes into a state where it can tap into this kind of collective unconscious pattern. And that dreams need to be interpreted as wisdom from the collective unconscious. So both Freud and Jung worked at this time where dream interpretation was a big deal. So when you went to go see psychologists, you would spend a lot of your therapy time going over your dreams. But then in the 1960s, Hobson and McCarley published this activation synthesis hypothesis, and this paper created more controversy than any other paper in all of psychology because basically what their research was showing is that dreams are just random bursts of input from the pons to the cortex. It's a biological mechanism. They don't have a lot of meaning. So psychologists who kind of followed Freud and Jung were making a lot of money off of dream interpretation and they were spending a lot of time on dream interpretation. So these researchers coming in and saying dreams mean nothing, this caused a lot of controversy. They're just random bits of activation of the pons, and it's kind of this mental housekeeping function. And we did learn in the memory chapter that we definitely see that dreams and REM sleep is involved in memory. We see the pathways are cleaned out. And we also see with Alzheimer's research that, you know, when we're stressed out and we don't get much sleep, there's this buildup of this protein called tau protein. But what this activity that we were doing, which I have to say I'm so excited about, and it's one of my favorite activities, is Cartwright in the 1990s came back and did something similar to what I asked you guys to do. Is she said, okay, dreams are just random bursts of input from the pons to the cortex. Okay, you're saying that dreams are not meaningful. So then she gave people 5 terms, like I gave you 5 terms: man, woman, snake, bag, gun. If you guys go into the discussion board and you look, there is not one story that is exactly alike. And so she said, yes, I okay, so maybe dreams are just random burst of input from the pons to the cortex. But look at how these 5 random bursts of input to the cortex are all processed so differently between all of us. And what I want to do now is a lot of you took this class, Psychology 1, and you say, oh gosh, she's just teaching us about history and memory and the brain. When are we going to get into analyzing things? Well, here we go. Let's have fun with this. Let's pretend we're dream interpretation people. So you can pretend that those stories are dreams, or you can look at it from what I'm saying is they told you a story. What Cartwright is saying is she's saying your brain would still have to take those 5 random bursts of information and process them. And it's probably from pathways that you've been using or, some emotional content that you're dealing with on an unconscious level got transferred into the story. So, for example, left hemisphere, right hemisphere. The right hemisphere is more your imagination. And it also seems to be a little bit more involved in kind of your negative emotions rather than your positive emotions. So, this is kind of funny. I'm not sure how you guys are going to feel about me on this one. But as some of you know, I'm a single mom, and so my husband and I, we separated when my last baby was born. We had some issues and we just couldn't resolve them. And so it took me a long time, but finally I decided, okay, I'm going to start dating again. So I would actually use this kind of story thing on my dates to try to show you how to analyze them. So, of course, we'd go out on a date and they'd ask me what I do. And I say, oh, I'm a psychology teacher. And I tell them how much I love my job and it's just so fun. And I go to work and just have fun all day. And they're like, oh, yeah, really? And I'm like, yeah, we just play games all day. I just go in the classroom and we have a great time. And I said, would you like to play a game with me? Just to see how it is. And they're going to say yes. I mean, if they said no, then definitely that would be a write-off because I like to have fun. And so if they don't want to play like a silly game with me, then probably we won't get along. So I give them these 5 terms. And it's fun for me to see how they put them together because you have to remember we're in a dating situation. So, since their brain is in a dating situation, I would think that their brain is going to kind of go to what they feel about dating because their brain is in that situation. Now, it wasn't the same for you guys on the discussion board, so I don't know if you can interpret it that way. So, when you're interpreting on the discussion board, you should look at how much effort did they put into it? Was the ending leaving them hanging? What was the woman's role? What was the man's role? What's going on? So I want you to interpret their stories the way that you see them, like what is going on underlying. So I'll show you a couple of mine to give an example. So one guy that I went out with, he says, okay, you want me to tell you a story? Okay. So there was a woman and she had a really nice handbag and she had really nice shoes and she was walking across the street. And the man pulled up in his luxury car and he saw that a snake was going to go and attack the woman. So he pulled his gun out of his glove compartment. He shot the snake and then he saw the woman was taken care of, so he drove away. Okay, so let me just tell you what I interpreted it. And it doesn't mean that it's right, but it was just the way I'm interpreting it to give you an example. So what I saw is this man seems to be very into high price things. Like she wears nice shoes and she has a nice handbag and he was driving a luxury car. So let me just tell you a little bit about me is I've been carrying the same purse for probably 10 years because it's this purse and it's made out of pop tabs. It's silver. It's made out of can tabs and it matches everything and it's like the coolest purse I've ever seen in my life. And like I'm a person that just sticks with one thing. Once I like one thing, I'm going to stick with it. And then I also have some shoes. I have probably like 3 or 4 pairs of shoes and to me they're absolutely cute, original, one of a kind, but I wear them all the time. So I'm not really into like super nice things. I'm not into names or anything. It's just like I pick something that I think is cool and then I stick with it. So that he wanted her to have nice handbag and nice shoes kind of showed me he kind of wanted probably a woman that isn't quite like me. And then that he shot the snake and drove away, kind of said to me he wants to be the hero and then he's going to leave. And at this time in my life, I don't need a hero as I'm completely self-sufficient and I want somebody who's a partner. So then I dated another guy, and it's the guy that I'm currently with right now because his story matched exactly what I wanted. And again, I don't want you to take this too literally. I'm just showing you how maybe you can analyze some of the stories in your discussion board. And who knows, maybe you guys will go on a date and you'll use this too, and maybe it'll be fun. Who knows? I'm just trying to share a little bit about me personally because I'm your teacher, and this is online and it's hard to get to know me. So this guy, he said, we went through the whole thing. Oh yeah, tell me a story, la la la. And he's like, okay, there was a man and a woman, and they were walking together in the woods. And as they came across a snake, and they happened to have a bag, and so they decided to try to use this bag together to scoop up the snake without touching it. So she took one side, he took the other side, and then they scooped up the snake. And then they just tied the bag shut because even though they had a gun, they weren't sure if they wanted to kill it because what if it wasn't poisonous? Okay, so as soon as he told me that, I was like, "Oh, this is the type of person that I can relate to." And let me tell you why. Is the man and the woman were a partner, and that's what I'm looking for at this time in my life is I don't need someone to rescue me. I don't have any negative feelings attacking this. I don't need to rescue them. I just want a partner, somebody who's my friend, hand in hand that we do things together. And so that he said they were walking together and that they scooped up the snake together was really important to me. And then that he said they didn't kill the snake because they wanted to find out if it was poisonous or not, as that was also something that was very meaningful to me. Why would you want to kill something just for no reason? If it's not going to hurt you, then just let it go. Let it go on its way. So, in any case, this is why we're doing this is I thought it would be fun for you guys to analyze these and to also understand that with dreams, we don't know if they're meaningful or not. I don't know what to tell you. There's all kinds of theories out there, and this is a fun way of looking at it.